Welcome to Lessons from the Oracle, a series I'm creating based on this Oracle deck. This deck has brought a lot of wisdom to me, and I would like to share some of it with you, as well as my own wisdom. Now let's get started with the card, Change Your Environment. Our environment affects our mind. For example, have you ever been around someone who's incredibly anxious and it makes you feel anxious too? Or have you ever been to the forest or the beach and felt very relaxed, even if that's not how you were feeling before? A nurturing environment can help us tremendously, while a suboptimal one can hinder us more than we realize. This card invites us to pay attention to our surroundings and how they're affecting us. Here's what the author has to say about this card. It reminds us that we have the power to change our environment for the better, either by influencing it directly or moving to a new environment. One way to change your environment is to remove elements. I don't remember where I heard this originally, but someone once told me that every item that you see gives you a tiny bit of mental tension and stress. I definitely agree with this, and it adds up more than you realize. Having a messy environment makes everything harder. On the contrary, when your environment supports you, it makes everything else easier. This is why cleaning your spaces is so important, especially the spaces dedicated to work or rest. My room gets messy very often. It is currently a mess, which I'm not going to show you. But I find that when it stays messy, I am less productive in general, and it just makes things way harder. Thus, I dedicate a little time each day to tidy it up. It often only takes 5 minutes to make a major change. Simply making your bed can make a surprising impact on how good your room looks, despite it not taking that much effort. Or take this example. My desk has looked like this for about a week, and I just cleaned it, and now it looks like this. I actually timed it, and this took exactly 1 minute and 31 seconds, which is essentially no time at all. A lot of times I want to procrastinate these kind of tasks, but here's some useful perspective. You have to get it done at some point, and no matter when you do it, it's going to take the same amount of work and the same amount of effort. So if you have to expend that effort anyway, why not do it sooner so that you can reap the benefits sooner? It helps me to think of these tasks as taking negative energy. Even though I put energy into them initially, having them done makes everything else easier and take less effort. Therefore, they actually give me a net benefit in energy level. A mantra, which I find incredibly helpful, is do it now. Actually, while I was writing the script for this video, I looked over and saw a poster that I'd been meaning to hang up. And internally, my mind said, do it now, and then I hung it up. I've been putting off that task for a couple of days, but I really wish I just did it sooner, because now that it's up, it makes my room feel like a much more welcoming environment. Side note, I'd also really recommend sweeping up. You probably don't realize how dirty the floor is. Plus, doing chores like that can be extremely enjoyable. I really enjoy sweeping for some reason, especially if I'm listening to good music. I would highly recommend When Will My Life Begin from the musical Tangled. On that topic, music can make a drastic influence in our environment. As I mentioned in the previous video, when I'm listening to good music, it's much easier to motivate myself to exercise. On the contrary, I find it a lot easier to study and do work in a completely silent environment. If I try to work with music or in a noisy place, I get distracted very easily. This isn't true for everyone. Some people actually work better in a busier environment. The key is to find what works best for you and leverage that to help yourself succeed. Now, pause the video and take a second to think about what helps you work the best. I'd recommend writing it down somewhere, and I'd really appreciate if you left a comment below. Lastly, even taste is part of your environment. I associate the taste of mint with productivity, so before I wrote this script, I chewed on a piece of gum to help get me focused, and that helped me build up the momentum I needed to start writing. Another meaning of this card is to move the space that you are in. Going somewhere different can help your motivation drastically. Our brain likes to avoid cognitive dissonance at all costs, and you can leverage this to help you succeed. For example, it wouldn't make sense to drive to the library and then not study. It wouldn't make sense to drive to the gym and then not work out. If you can convince yourself to just go to the location, Even if you don't convince yourself to do the activity, you'll find that it's actually a lot easier to get started. The act of moving to a new location can also spark creativity and new ideas. I often find I get my best ideas in the forest. Lastly, I have a few more miscellaneous tips that I couldn't think of a good way to include in the video. Number 1, keep healthy food options in plain sight. In your house, if there's a lot of visible junk food or processed food, you're going to be much more likely to indulge in that kind of food. But if the food in plain sight is healthier, such as a bowl of fruit, you're going to be much more likely to have that instead. In this way, changing your environment of what's around you can make it easier to be healthier. Number 2 is to surround yourself with people who bring out the best in you. If there are certain people that inspire you and motivate you to be your best self, you're going to want to spend more time with those people because it's going to make you feel more fulfilled and happier with yourself in general. On the contrary, even if you love someone, if they hurt you and encourage you to be a worse version of yourself, you might want to try distancing yourself from that person. And number 3 is keep certain spaces sacred for certain activities. The most important of which is to keep your bed only for sleep. It's very common for people to use their phones in bed, but this is incredibly unhealthy and I would really advise against it. There will be a whole video on sleep hygiene coming out soon, so stay tuned for that. Now, the video is coming to an end, and I have a mission for you. You're going to make at least one positive change in your immediate environment right now. It could be something like making your bed, cleaning off a dresser, or as we just talked about, replacing some unhealthy food options with some healthier ones. I hope this video was able to teach you something, or help inspire you, or motivate you to make some positive change. And if it did, I'd really appreciate you liking the video and subscribing to my channel. Have a lovely day.